In the shadows of history, the word witch has evoked fear, mystery, and fascination. But where did it all begin? Over 5,000 years ago, the concept of witchcraft took root in ancient civilizations. From Mesopotamia to ancient Egypt, people believed in unseen forces, both good and evil, influencing their lives. Ancient spells, protective charms, and offerings to gods and spirits were part of everyday life, blending the mystical with the practical. The Egyptians revered Heka, the god of magic. Here, magic wasn't just superstition, it was a respected part of their religion and medicine. But in medieval Europe, beliefs took a darker turn. Around the 13th century, Christian doctrines branded certain practices as heresy, associating them with the devil. The image of the witch began to take shape, a figure blamed for crop failures, sickness, and misfortune. The church warned of witches working alongside the devil, spreading fear that would ultimately lead to brutal persecution. During the medieval period, belief in magic and supernatural forces permeated daily life in Europe. People believed that unseen powers could alter fate, heal wounds, and even bring harm. But around the 13th century, the perception of these forces took a sinister turn. Through Christianity's spread, church doctrines began shaping views on magic, labeling non-sanctioned practices as acts of evil. With the church's influence growing, it promoted the idea that certain forms of magic were inherently dangerous, often linked with heresy and devil worship. This shift introduced fear and suspicion into previously neutral or even beneficial forms of folk magic. The 13th century writings of theologians like St. Thomas Aquinas warned that humans could make pacts with the devil, leading to beliefs that witches used dark powers to manipulate the world. Accusations of witchcraft often targeted vulnerable people, particularly women who practiced traditional medicine, midwifery, or folk remedies. In a time of frequent plagues, crop failures, and mysterious ailments, the witch became a scapegoat, blamed for life's misfortunes. The rise of the Inquisition fueled fears further. Though initially aimed at rooting out heresy, by the late 15th century, the Inquisition turned its attention to witchcraft, blending religious dogma with superstition. The Malleus Maleficarum, written in 1487, claimed that witches were primarily women and insisted they were plotting against Christendom. This book fueled centuries of persecution, justifying the brutal treatment of those accused. Across Europe, fear of witches took hold as the church's warnings were echoed in towns and cities. The idea of a coven, a group of witches meeting to worship the devil, spread fear of secret gatherings and midnight rituals. Thousands of people, mostly women, faced trials, with confessions often extracted under extreme torture, creating a spiral of accusations. From Germany to Scotland, the witch hunts spread like wildfire. These persecutions saw entire communities turned against one another, fueled by fear, superstition, and the desire to purge evil from the world. In the 16th and 17th centuries, Europe witnessed one of history's most infamous periods, the witch hunts. Thousands were accused of witchcraft, often tortured and executed in a frenzy of paranoia. Between 1580 and 1630, the height of the witch hunts saw entire villages shaken by accusations and confessions under torture. The infamous Malleus Maleficarum, a guidebook on identifying witches, labeled women as prime suspects. Its impact was devastating. In places like Salem, this paranoia crossed into the New World. Accusations spread rapidly, leading to more tragic deaths. After the witch hunts, the image of the witch evolved. By the 19th century, romanticized folklore and literature reshaped witches into mysterious, often misunderstood figures. Fairy tales painted them as villains, wise women, or reclusive spellcasters. This cultural shift marked the beginning of the modern witch. Today, witchcraft has seen a revival, with movements like Wicca celebrating nature and ancient traditions, transforming witchcraft into a positive, empowering identity. After the terror of the witch hunts faded, society's image of the witch began to change. No longer solely a figure of fear, the witch was reimagined through literature and art as a complex character, one who could be both malevolent and wise. By the Renaissance, witches appeared as mysterious, even enchanting figures in plays and stories, capturing both the dread and fascination people held for the supernatural. Shakespeare's Macbeth presented the classic image of the three witches, setting the stage for centuries of depictions that linked witches with prophecy and fate. These figures weren't simply evil, they were harbingers of destiny, often wise and connected to the supernatural. Literature transformed witches into symbols of rebellion and insight. In stories, witches challenged the norms and many times were depicted as wielders of forbidden knowledge. By the 19th century, the Romantic and Gothic movements in art and literature added layers to the image of the witch. She became a symbol of wild nature and primal power, a figure both feared and revered, a product of humanity's darker imagination. In poems, art, and stories, witches appeared as ancient spirits, their powers linked to the forests, mountains, and forces of nature. As film and media emerged in the 20th century, the image of the witch took on a new life. Movies like The Wizard of Oz brought the cackling, green-skinned witch into popular culture, forever linking her with magical spells, cauldrons, and pointy hats. From children's stories to horror films, the witch became an enduring archetype, sometimes a villain, other times a misunderstood outcast. Yet alongside this popular image, real-life movements emerged that reclaimed the title of witch. In the 1950s and 60s, the neo-pagan revival and Wiccan practices reframed witchcraft as a celebration of nature and spirituality. Wicca, neo-paganism, and similar movements offered a new perspective. Witchcraft as a practice of harmony with nature, self-empowerment, and ancient wisdom. Today, the witch embodies resilience, mystery, and empowerment in popular culture. From villain to hero, from monster to feminist icon, the witch remains one of the most enduring and adaptable figures. The witch's journey from feared outcast to powerful figure speaks to our ongoing fascination with the unknown and the ever-present pull of ancient wisdom. The witch, reborn through centuries, embodies the spirit of rebellion, mystery, and magic. Today, her legacy lives on, a reminder of our deepest fears, our wildest dreams, and our endless fascination with the unknown. Witches, figures shrouded in fear and fascination. Their history is ours to explore, to remember, and to understand. The witch, once hunted and feared, now reclaimed and celebrated, remains one of the most powerful symbols in our collective imagination. From dark legends to modern empowerment, the story of the witch reminds us of humanity's enduring dance with the unknown, the mystical, and the unseen. Who are the witches of today, and what mysteries still wait to be uncovered? Only time and curiosity will tell. If you enjoyed exploring the strange and mysterious, join us on the Bizzaair for more stories that defy the ordinary.